Running here Wednesday, getting after practice here again. We're excited to get back out there and try to get better here today. So we've got a big challenge in front of us. Philadelphia is an outstanding team. They got a lot of great players. I think, Coach Peterson does a great job with that team. I think he prepares them hard to be ready to go every single week. And they're very competitive. It's a 60-minute game with these guys. So we got a lot of work in front of us. There's a lot of great players there that we're learning and trying to get a good jump on here as we practice and prepare through the week. And today will be a big day for us to improve not only ourselves, but then, to get ready for our opponent. So, just excited to get ready going. So what do we got?
So I know you said that you're planning as if their full roster is playing, but they canceled practice because of injuries today. How much do you have to prep for, I guess, some of the next guys on the depth chart and make sure you're learning their tendencies as well for your guys?
I think, we usually generally run into situations where guys are injured or dinged up, early in the week, and we see how it goes towards the end of the week. The NFL football games are pretty violent games, and guys come out, beat up, and it goes from there. So we just prepare like normal. We just got to push forward, and we're always kind of on top of all the different players and all the different pieces as far as that's concerned, and we study hard on all those guys. Not really uncommon for, coaches to I know it's called canceled practice, but they're still walking through. They're still preparing. They're still getting ready to go. So, we did the same thing last year for Carolina, walked through on Wednesday and then practiced Thursday and Friday and went out and played. So not really an uncommon thing, and something that I know, knowing Coach Peterson and the job that he does to get his team ready to go and ready to play and prepare, they're working today. So they're in a full work day, and so are we. And, we're just all trying to do the same thing, get better, and hopefully give us a chance to go win on Sunday. So we'll just prepare like normal and just keep studying everybody that we have to, and look at all the different pieces as we go forward.
You and Doug had a pretty epic Super Bowl battle a couple years back. I know we on this side, and maybe fans sometimes like to talk about rivalries, or is there any, payback? I don't know. Do coaches look at it that way, or how do you sort of look back on that?
I personally try to not look back at that Super Bowl. Quite a bit. So, he's a great coach. He does a great job. I actually, I know a lot of the guys on that staff, guys that I've either coached with before or been around before. And, I know how well they are coached and how hard they work. So, for us, it's all about this year. Just like I'm sure it is for him, it's all about this year and the team that he has and the team that we have, and trying to prepare, our teams to go play well, week 3 in September. So it's always a little bit different from that standpoint. You guys can come sit down. I think it's just I have a lot of respect for him and what he's done there, and like I said, the coaches that are there, and those are guys that I know really well, and I know how hard they work. So I just know that it's it's going to be a big challenge from that standpoint. Totally, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, great amount of respect for him.
You and Bob both spoken a lot about being multiple and being able to adjust game to game. This is the 3rd week in a row you're facing a pretty unique defense with an established coordinator calling the shots there. Does it give you a better idea of where you're at, getting to that goal?
I think it's, it is different. Obviously, Jim Schwartz is a great, he's a great coach. He's a great play caller. He does a great job of leading that unit. And, I know him really well too, just kind of going back through our ties of coaching trees and things like that. So I know how hard he's going to prepare those guys, and I know how hard they're going to work to get ready to go. And that'll be a big challenge for us on that side of the ball. And, it is something for us that as we build through the course of the season, we're continually trying to take each week as its own week and build upon those things, even though, in the NFL, there's tendencies for things to repeat from one week to the next. Maybe it's something that we had difficult with, or something that was a good play for an opponent. We know that we have to prepare for somebody else to run that against us, whether it's the immediately next week or maybe 2 weeks out. So we continually have to learn from what we've done, the previous 2 weeks, but we have to get ready for the Eagles and the different things that they do. That'll be our biggest challenge here this week, especially with their defense. They have so many great players, obviously up front. Fletcher Cox is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. This guy's big, he's strong, he's explosive. He's a major problem. Brandon Graham's another guy on the edge. I remember him coming out and just his explosiveness, his ability to kind of win the line of scrimmage, penetrate across, and be very disruptive in the backfield. And Malcolm Jenkins's another guy I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and just his longevity through the league and everything that he's done. And he's just an extremely smart player. And you watch him on tape, he makes a lot of communication, makes a lot of adjustments in those defensive calls. Some of those schemes are pretty complex, and that he skies really well, and then people have to be in the right places, and he's doing a lot of that in the back end. So just it's just a really difficult team to prepare for.
You made a change at running back yesterday. Just two parts of that. One, what do you like in Paul Perkins, and two, you don't really have that big back on your roster anymore. Is there anything you're, I guess, missing in not having the bowling ball that you could throw down the middle?
Yeah. It's tough. It's bowling ball. I don't know if it's. I think from the running back standpoint, I mean, I'll say this. Obviously, we have a tremendous amount of trust and carry on and what we know that he can do from a running back position. Ty Johnson, I think, is another guy that ran really hard last week. J.D. McKissick is another guy that we kind of brought on, and obviously we're just trying to push forward with everybody that we think that we can get out there. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for CJ and everything that he's done in this league and how hard he's working, everything he did while he was here. Sometimes just in the course of the roster, sometimes movement happens. We're going to do what's best for the team as far as that's concerned. And CJ was great, as far as every day coming in and just being the same guy and working really hard. But as far as a big back is concerned, I think for us it's just, I've seen small guys run hard. I've seen big guys run not so hard. So it's really just about the individual and those particular situations and the blocking up in front of it and what we need to get. And so for us, it's more just about the production, I think, more so than the overall size, if that makes any sense from that aspect of it.
What is it about Paul that you liked?
Sorry, I forgot. Just watching him on tape, and he's actually someone that kind of has been on the radar for a while. Got injured last year, came on a couple of years ago, and looking through the preseason, he runs hard. He runs very explosive downhill, but he has kind of a skill set that can do a couple different things. He has enough speed to kind of get to the edge if he needs to. He can get down inside if he needs to. He's tough. He'll pass pro. He'll kind of put his body in there, and he's not afraid of contact from that standpoint. So, just thought it was a good opportunity to help us, and really not only on offense but also special teams. He has some value there too, which is important for us in our overall kind of makeup of our team.
This is maybe a bit more general, but do you think NFL rosters are built for facing 10 personnel on offense?
Good question. I think obviously each team is different, and it just depends on who you're playing and all that stuff. But I would say the 4 wide receiver sets, depending on a lot of 11 personnel, let's call it, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end sets, can play a lot like 10 personnel or 4 open, kind of that opened up spread formation offense. So I think a lot of defenses nowadays are used to kind of that opened up offensive sets, and whether it's a pass catching tight end or a 4th wide receiver in those situations, I think a lot of times you're seeing a lot of that, more of that on tape, so you kind of evaluate it, figure out how you're going to defend it, stop it, all those sort of things. So I think it's more common nowadays than maybe what it was before. I'm not saying that everybody's got all the answers against it, but certainly from that standpoint, we see a lot more of those looks.
Is that part of why, obviously, I know a lot of teams still play more base nickel than 5-10 years ago?
Yeah.
I think is that part of the reason why they'd rather be an 11 or a 10?
I think a lot of that goes back. I think it was probably 2011 or so. I think is when we really started. When I started taking a look at that, and I was kind of taking a look at the installations and how we were putting our defenses in. And it was one of those things where you come out as your self scout after the year and you're playing 87% nickel or 87% sub defense, and you're kind of having to completely rethink everything as far as how you install and how you teach, and making sure that you put enough time into those different packages to handle 87% of the snaps that you're going to see that season. So a lot of it, I think, had to do with the transformation of some of the tight ends at the time. If you take it in the late 2000s to really 2010, and those pass catching type tight ends that were coming into the league, and some of the guys that were in the league that were having success, Dallas Clark, some of those type of players. And then they were taking those guys that were traditionally lined up in line and putting them out into space. So defenses had to change and they had to adapt. And when more of those guys kind of were coming out of college, and teams found a lot of success with those guys in the NFL, I think from there it was a natural progression, go from like 12 to 11 and put the 3 wide receivers out there. I think certainly guys like Wes Welker at the time caught on, and their protection of that slot position became very valuable, not only on third down, but I think a lot of teams were getting a lot of value of it on the early down situations. And it just, I would say from a skill position, that's where everything kind of trended from there and started and went forward.
More questions?
You mentioned a few other guys on defense. Sidney Jones seemed like he had a pretty good game last week. Just wondering what your impressions are of him.
I think those guys definitely outside of just their playing aggressive, because some of the game was some pretty good blitz calls and things like that, where those guys were very aggressive in the front, and I think they knew the ball was going to come out quick, and I think that they were able to kind of play more aggressive in those situations. If you watch, a couple of the different games and different calls where it's maybe more of a coverage game or some of those situations, I think those guys are just continually learning and getting better. They've had a couple moving parts back there, and I think those guys are just trying to understand the techniques that they're teaching. Corey Ellman, who actually coaches the secondary, is a good friend of mine, and I know he's got those guys working really hard, but I thought it was good from last week for them was the kind of marriage of rushing coverage and the pressure and everything that they were getting out of that all kind of seemed towards the end of the game like it was working pretty well.
Yeah, I got one more. When a guy, this may be more of a college thing, and like when a guy's going home, like when he's going back to Philly or DC or wherever to play, do you worry about that at all, whether it's distractions or whether it's tickets or anything like that, or at this point does it not matter because they're 30 years old?
Yeah, I think it just would depend on the individual. I'm never worried about anything like that. I think for the most part, everyone's, going out with the right idea to try to go play really well and help the team win. So it's never really any of that. You might have situations where a guy might have unusual requests of numbers or whatever it is, and you try to get in front of it and help it ahead of time. But we have great resources in the building that help, our guys and prepare so that a lot of that's taken off their plate so they can just concentrate on going and playing, because that's really, the bottom line for us is just we got to go play well. So we try to alleviate as much of that as we can.
Quite a few times in the past couple of years, so we'll have our work cut up for us on the road.
Matthew, this is an old question. We kind of knew about sustaining the offense. In other words, being able to score early, score late. We still have some lulls. How hard is that to do to keep driving, get points out of drives?
Yeah, no game's gonna ever be perfect. You'd love to score points on every single drive and touchdowns if you can, but we just got to do a better job staying on the field a little bit on third down. Had some opportunities in the last game to stay on the field and didn't. Would have, I think, ended up in some points. So just got to do a little bit better job there, and then make sure that when we get our opportunities for big plays, we got to hit them.
How is what Jim does now with Philly? How is that different than what they did when he was here?
Yeah, I think he's a smart guy. He's going to adapt to the guys that he has in his locker room, he has on that team, and play to their style, play to their strengths. He's like a lot of coaches in this league that do that. But just generally speaking, they're an aggressive defense. They play extremely hard, and they're good at what they do.
Yeah, one other thing, how much of a better feel do you have now for the guys you're playing with after 2 games? Got a new running back, new tight ends, things like that. How much better feel do you have now?
Yeah, better. I think I'm going to hopefully continue to, build that trust with each other and understanding of what we're going to do out there. 2 games isn't a long time, but it's definitely going in the right direction.
Matthew, you've had 3 100-yard receivers. They come from every level: tight end, slot, out wide. Just the type of pressure that puts on that defense, and maybe the trust level you have in spreading it out to a lot of different guys, can perform for you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the ball to the guy who's got the best look on the certain play. We draw plays up and think it might go somewhere else in the game, or it goes exactly where you thought it was going to go. Sometimes you don't know. Just trying to spread the ball around, give our guys opportunities. I think it's just a testament to the guys that we have on this team. A bunch of talented guys that can turn catches into big runs and big gains.
When you got game time with guys, do you able to develop more answers for what the defenses are giving you? In other words, you've got more feel for what you have.
Yeah, I think every time you're put out there on Sunday and forced into situations, you're going to learn about yourself, your teammates, and your team. And we try to do that as much as we possibly can in practice. But sometimes those unique situations come up in games, and you learn from them.
Is there momentum after 2 games?
I think for us, we just come in every day, work our tails off. So, we're not worried about that. We're not thinking about it. Every day is a new challenge. Every week is a new challenge. We just go out there and try to win the day.
Something that's out of your control, but their injury report was littered with people. Is it more challenging to try to prepare for a team not knowing if certain guys defensively are going to be out there and you have to prepare for the backup instead? Is it just an extra step in your...
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit more, for me to look at. Guys who maybe haven't played as much. Got to find snaps of those guys and watch them play. But it's a challenge anytime you play in this league. I don't care who's up, who's down. These guys are in this league for a reason. They're good players.
One other sports thing. Have you kept in contact with him?
Yeah, I've talked to him throughout the years a little bit here and there. Like I said, I got a lot of respect for him, and I think he's a really, really smart football coach.
You got a few new faces in here, like Paul Perkins. How do you go about getting him caught up in the offense in a short period of time?
I got a lot, on my plate at the moment. I think, his coach does a great job. I'm going to help him out as much as I possibly can along the way. The guys in that room got to kind of carry over and teach them too. There's a lot that goes into getting ready for a game, it's tough on a short week for some of these guys, but they can do it.
Is the fact that you have had kind of a rotating cast of backup quarterbacks, does that affect your preparation at all? Because in the past, like Sean Hill and Dan have been pretty influential in that.
No, I think I still go about my business, and prepare for the game the way I normally would. Whether or not those guys are adding, I think with Sean and Dan and some of those guys, the biggest deal was, hey, I played this guy in whatever, 2010, 2011, 2012, back in the day, and this is what it looked like that day. So I may not get that, but, I still go about my business the same way.
You've seen some pretty good interior linemen over the years. Fletcher Cox is up in that group. When you have a dominant interior guy, what kind of pressure does that put on you? What is something maybe you have to be aware more of in a given week?
I think obviously they've got good players at every level of their defense. Fletcher's been a really good player in this league for a long time. They've got other guys on their front that are, causing havoc in the backfield and getting after the quarterback. So, we got to be aware of where everybody is on every play. Make sure we're doing everything we can to, try and put our players in the best position to succeed. And, he's a guy that's disrupted the pocket for a long time, and, he looks to be doing the same this year.
Undefeated after 2 weeks, does that creep into your thought process?
No, I don't think about it at all. It's just a huge challenge for us this week. Going to Philly is a tough place to play. They've got a bunch of great players and have been a really good team for a long time. So it's just a new challenge for us, something that we got to attack, on its own.
Is there any value for your guys rallying to come from behind like they did last week? Does that carry forward at all? Or is every week just a new confidence builder? Or?
Yeah, I think just because you did it last week doesn't mean you're going to, do it again the week, the next week. But it also, if you didn't do it the week before, it doesn't mean you can't do it the next week. So we just, you walked right into it. We,
I've done worse.
Yeah, right. No, yeah. But no, we take every challenge head on as a new one.
What have you seen from the Ties first couple of weeks, and what is it, especially that second quarter series? What does that do for confidence?
It was good for him to get in there. I was happy for him. I thought he ran the ball well. He's an explosive kid, strong, fast, physical, young guy trying to do right. Still got a lot to learn, as we all do. But I was happy for him.
Is this the youngest group? Is this the youngest group of runners you've had, though? First-year guy, second-year guy. It's not much to lean on.
You're gonna have to do the math for me and check on it, but it's up there. Yeah, it's up there. It's up there for sure. Their coach is doing a great job with him. I'm trying to help him out as much as I possibly can, but I have a lot of confidence in those guys.
There's a story in the Philadelphia Inquirer that was something to the effect of how can Carson Wentz avoid being the next Matthew Stafford, something like that. At this stage of your career, do you, does bulletin board matter at all too? Like, it wasn't the coach saying that or anything, but is there anything that you?
No, doesn't bother me.
You talked Sunday about the interception to Kenny. A couple plays before that, you guys connected on a play up the sideline, and it was a free play. Like, when you get those offside flags, is your default just to try and find a vertical route you like best, or you're still trying to get?
Every play is kind of different. Sometimes the play might be off, and we'll just send guys all vertical. Sometimes we keep the play on, depending. But that one was kind of just everybody can go try and get open vertical, and Kenny obviously did a good job, made a great catch.
Nervousness sets in just a little bit, just because I am a rookie. I'm not like Carry On or any other guys that are really experienced right now. So there's that sudden nervousness, but then it goes away right when I get in the huddle. And yeah, of course there's going to be excitement. I get to play a kid's game, at a high level, so it's always a good time when my number gets called.
Any way to make that nervousness work more for you?
Keeps me on my toes, I'll tell you that much, and it makes me stay alert, so it makes me lock in and focus more when I'm in the huddle.
Just because CJ's not here, it would just be obvious that the touch is going to be spread around a little bit more. Some are going to come to you. As a running back, how much do you want to be able to get those carries? How much do you look forward to that when the time comes?
It doesn't even matter to me, man. Like I said, when my number's called, that's when I'll go, and if when my number's called and I happen to get the ball at that time, then cool. You know, it's about the team right now, and it's about, you know, winning right now. So whatever I can do, if that's my number's being called or whatnot, special teams, you know, that's what I'm gonna do to help the team.
What can you do as far as, I mean, some guys need, you know, a little bit of a rhythm, running backs, and need a few touches to get going. Are you that way, or can you start cold and be just as effective?
Well, you know, it comes up to schemes and everything. You know, if there's a hole there, I'm sure I'll hit it. You know, sometimes I have mental errors too, but you know, it's just going in there, playing fast, and what you're given, take.
What is a couple plays that you made last week? What does that do for your confidence level for a rookie early in his career?
It definitely gives a boost of confidence, you know, just being able to play at a high level. And the Chargers, you know, they're a great team, and, you know, they're a fast defense. So, you know, it definitely gave a boost of confidence.
And he runs great routes. He's strong. He's quick. And, you know what I'm saying, he does it all for that offense, and that offense really goes through him. So I got a lot of respect for a guy like that.
You guys had a little bit of momentum. How do you feel about that?
Man, last week was last week. We just here to go play this week, and you know, we just got to lock in and be ready to go on what we got this week.
New week, new you.
No question.
When you do break the season down into quarters, though, you're halfway through that first quarter and you're undefeated. How much does that help as you head into two really tough matchups the next couple weeks?
I think it doesn't matter. You know, it's always good not to have a loss under your belt, but at the end of the day, those 2 weeks in the past, we're on a new week now. We got to get ready for Philadelphia and just be ready to go.
What do you like about what your defense is doing right now?
I think everybody just playing together. A lot of energy. I love the energy from everybody. And, you know, guys just enjoy playing and being teammates with each other. And that's the fun part. Everybody's going out working hard each and every day, and we putting things together day by day.